Hello, Gail. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful. And thank you too for being here. You see, I truly appreciate it. And you see, Gail, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, I want to say thank you so very much, Gail, for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invest it in yourself. And oftentimes, Gail, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. They say some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I
Mm.
just walked past it. Yeah, I walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Gail, just recently I was on that same road, and this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it,
Oh,
beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes now, okay, I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely moment that day. I was so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing girl that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to say no to you. Getting to read a little bit about you, the stuffs that you do, your philosophies, your insight, how you're offering your solutions, these stuffs are amazing. And while I was going through it all, I said to myself, yeah, I've got to benefit from these stuffs. Not only me now, but even the audience. And here we are today with the amazing girl. So thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for being here. I truly appreciate you.
well, I appreciate that. That's a very nice welcome. Well, I'm honored.
Beautiful, beautiful. So let's get started. You see, hmm, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today for two reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, not just knowledge, but the application of it. And you see, Gail, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very, very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Gail on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, high opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Gail, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So, for that reason, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Gail got here. Then,
Okay.
afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Gail, over to you.
Thank you so much. In Southeast Texas, where I live, they call me the old bird with feathers of wisdom for women and a soft spot for single moms because I do work a lot with single moms. And I have a long story and a long history because I've been around a few times. um, I went through a pretty bad divorce, had three little children to take care of, and I found myself in a different world. A big shift took place in my life, and it took me a long time before I got leveled out enough to make some goals and some decisions for my future, which I did. And I returned to college in another city with three children. I've written about that and it's been published, but it was quite a journey. And I've had situations where one of my children almost died. I've had situations where there was a lot of tension between them and their dad and things like that. And my job was real stressful. And at one point, I was teaching Braille to children who are blind, and I learned a lot. It was a big lesson for me, but great inspiration in the stories that I've told about that. Children that are now adults and grown women that I still connect with. And so that's kind of exciting for me. And then after many years, and I remarried, I still wanted to do something for the single moms to show them a way that they could lift themselves up, that they could change their lives, that they could transform the situation. And as I began to work with them over the years, beginning in 2007, about 2015, I realized that the one common thing that was common to all of them, it didn't matter what nationality they were, what their background was, or anything. What mattered was if they had a skill where they could go to work, where they could get a job that was significant enough that they could, support their family in a reasonable way. So we started a nonprofit, which is doing really well right now. And it's now called Single Moms Empowered, with the ED for education, Empowered. And we help them finish a degree. It doesn't have to be a 4-year degree. It can be a 2-year degree. It can be an online degree. It can be a way for them to pull themselves up and provide for themselves and their children. It's so exciting to watch these children when their mothers change their attitude and lift themselves up and say, I can do this. And they do. And, one little boy recently, his mother was graduating after getting her 2-year degree at a local college, and she was walking across the stage, and he screamed out as loud as he could, "That's my mother." And so I just want, yeah, it was a great moment. I just want women to know, that yes, it's going to be hard. It's going to take effort. But it's possible. Women are doing this. And in this world where you can do it online, most of it, goodness, it's possible. And I encourage women. What I write about is to encourage, inspire, and motivate mothers mostly, but women in general.
Beautiful. You're doing such a fantastic job, Gail. And you see, I found your journey so inspiring. And I'm definitely sharing this episode with some elderly ones I know. I said that because I had a conversation with someone very recently. She's an elderly as well, and she was telling me things like, Elisha, I am too old and I don't think I am of much use to the world anymore. I don't think there is really anything I can offer the world. And I told her, I said, it's never too late to start all over. So getting to listen to you now and the beautiful stuff that you're doing, I believe she's going to find your story very inspiring. How dare I say, take a look at Gail, look at the wonderful stuff she's doing.
When you've
I
lived
tell
this,
you,
you learn things, You learn things as a young
exactly.
year. Yeah.
I tell you. That's why I said I find your story and journey so inspiring. Okay, there was this part I'm still curious about, and I want us to talk about it. So, what inspired you to write Living, Learning, Loving for Single Moms?
Well, first of all, I started reading a lot. And when I would read inspirational stories, I would think maybe I could write something like that. And so I started writing stories about situations that I lived through, circumstances that happened to me. And I wrote them, and sometimes they were published. One or two have been published more than once, actually. And then after many years of that, I compiled those stories into a book. So each chapter in this book has a story, a personal story. And at the end of each chapter, there are some questions so you can learn from the stories. So there's stories that inspire and motivate single moms and women who are having difficult situations. Maybe I'm talking about solitude. Maybe I'm talking about boundary setting. Maybe I'm talking about personalities, learning to know yourself and your children, because I did a lot of studies with that. And also grief, how to deal with grief and money. And finally, in the 12th chapter, I write about the things I learned from teaching children with visual impairments. So that's what I do, is to tell stories, and I love to write stories and tend to the stories of personal experience, not fiction really, but true stories, things that I live through. Because I've learned also, as I looked at the single mom situation, that the generation I'm talking to, most of the time, a lot younger than me, there are lessons they haven't learned yet that maybe I can help them with. Situations that they're in that they don't know what to do, that maybe I can help them with. So I became a life coach to do that. And that's when I worked directly a lot with single moms, and still do some. And I've learned, I've learned that it's okay if you're older to give your wisdom to younger women.
Exactly, exactly. That's so true. And I love the fact that you coupled it with your story, personal experiences. Stories can be so transforming at times, I tell you. Okay, so what is the biggest message you want single moms to take away from the book?
Well, I want to teach single moms that in this day and age, when they're making decisions, and all of us are making decisions, of course, to gather information. That's the first thing you do. And it's so easy nowadays. It's at your fingertips, literally. You can get information about anything. But do that before you jump in or make another decision. By all means, don't jump into another relationship too quickly. I always tease them and say, you need to do a complete autopsy on your first relationship before you get into another relationship. And then I tell them to set reasonable goals, study. And that's one of the things that the book includes, is studying yourself and your situation, and then plan and have each day have a goal and each week have a goal. It doesn't have to be some big thing. It can be a very minor thing, but do some things with your children. Don't let those years go by and look back and say, oh, I wish I had. Because at my age, I still do wish I had done some things differently. But I did spend time with them. I tried my best to spend time with them separately so that they had an identity of their own. Of course, my kids are probably your age now. So I'm a I'm a big believer in planning and transforming your life, because it's up to you. Nobody's going to do it for you.
So true. You see, the day I discovered that truth for myself, a whole lot of things changed in my mind, I tell you. You've got the responsibility and it's all on you. So you were talking about single moms empowered. I want you to talk more on that. What is it about and what do you do there?
Well, thank you for including that. Um, what we do is I have a board. Now it's being run by this board of people, about 7 people, and they are so good. And what we do is we take applications from single moms who are in college and are just, maybe they only have 2 years left, or they're going to do a 2-year degree. We try to do it that way so that it's just a 2-year program, but we treat them each individually, but we provide needs like childcare payments, sometimes rent. Sometimes we pay tuition and we pay for their books. We do all of this to support
Wow.
them. They don't have a support system. 1 out of 7 women will graduate from college because the others don't have a support system. Somebody that's pushing them on and lifting them up and giving them the little nudge they might need when things get rough. And they do get rough sometimes. We've got moms that have graduated with an LVN. I had one that graduated with a licensed vocational nursing, and she had 5 children. I have one that's now a police officer. We have a couple of social workers. We have a dental hygienist. We have been, you can see some of the pictures of the women on my board behind me that have graduated. And
Hmm.
we have about 3 right now that we're putting through. know, older women in different parts of the world can help women, other women do this. You can easily, put together an organization and help women to get this ability to work in a significant job to support their children. It has been such a blessing. And to watch them and watch their children, when their children see mama doing this, then that gives them confidence. And it's just a win-win all the way around. And I don't know how it is where you live, but I know that in most places, single moms don't have the advantages that, help them raise a family. And it's just a tough job, one of the toughest, I think. And so it's a blessing to be able to work with them and to help them get on their feet and to watch them go out and be employed, get a job, and bring a paycheck home that they've never been able to do before. Now, some women will say, this is an impossibility. I can't do this. Well, that's where you start with gathering information. Because if you gather information, you might be surprised that you can do this. There are organizations in most places in the world that are set up to help you. And so you have to research. You have to be willing to research it. Now, I know some in the United States and in Canada of grants that are available for women. I don't know about Africa, although I had a daughter who lived in Africa for a while. I know it might be a little more difficult depending on where you are. But, I'm just a believer that where there's a will, there's a way. And sometimes it may be that you don't get a degree or a certificate. Maybe you just take a talent that you have and you build from there. One of my single moms, she has a little farm. She raises goats and she makes goat milk soap. And that's one of the ways she earns a living. I mean, there are ways women can use their skills, whether it's sewing, which I do a lot, sewing, or gardening, plants, reproducing plants and selling plants. There's so many ways, but women have been beat down a lot. And in different parts of the world, it's different. I'll agree. But I think that if they'll get in touch with me, I love to talk to women about this sort of thing.
Beautiful, powerful, and profound words. Where there is will, there is a way. I got that. Oh my, amazing. And I'll take that as a final thought. So for folks who would like to reach out to you, Gail, or learn more about everything we've discussed, they want to learn more about single moms empowered, how can that be possible?
First of all, they can go to my website, which is Gail, Gail Showalter, SHOW, like show, SHOWALTER.com. I have a website there. If they're interested in the program, there is a Facebook page, Single Moms Empowered. Now, that's mostly local in Southeast Texas, but I love to talk to women and see if I can inspire them in some way. So they can reach out to me if they like.
Awesome. So that's going to be the end of the show, Gail. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this beautiful stuff with us. I tell you, I'm blessed. I feel so blessed right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Elisha. Thank you, Elisha.